All right, let's talk about the new Superman. So I didn't go see it on opening evening. I'm not one of those people that tend to go like the opening night, but I did go see it today, being Sunday, July 12th, and I went in it with no spoilers. I was happy that I avoided like the plague, no spoilers whatsoever. I had just seen like the trailers and such. And so went in, the only thing I think I knew from the get-go was what the opening scene was. So, these are what movies are supposed to be. You know, in a world right now where we are dealing with a lot of dark, negative news, we are constantly being inundated over and over and over again with just constant bad news. We are dealing with real-life villains that there are no heroes coming to our rescue to save us. It is just nice to be able to go to the theater, have the lights go down, and spend the next couple of hours just watching something that makes you feel hope again, that makes you feel joy and love, that makes you tearful, that makes you laugh. This movie was just so good. And I'm not saying it wasn't without a few issues here and there, but overall, there wasn't moments where I was bored. There wasn't any moments where I rolled my eyes. The audience that I had, which was a packed room, by the way, I think the only few empty seats was the one next to me and maybe a couple in the front row. But otherwise, my theater was packed. The audience was laughing. They were enjoying themselves. You could tell that it was a well-received movie. David Corenswet. Terrible with names. You guys are going to learn this. He is Superman. He embodies that perfect idea of Superman. I mean, I liked Henry Cavill and always felt he was a good Superman that was just given a bad script. You know, in the moments that he had the right moments, he embodied it well. But this Superman, this new Superman, is that Boy Scout. He is that person that makes you believe that there are good people in this world that despite having immense power well beyond anyone else's capabilities, that he can still be a good person that just wants to do the right thing. Which is seen so many times in this movie. Right down to the fact that he saves a dog and a squirrel at one point. I am not kidding you. There is a whole battle at one point where he saves a dog, like, by blowing it out of the way from being stepped on. And then another point, he saves a squirrel. Hell, even the monster that he is fighting at one point, he's concerned and doesn't want to unalive it, you know? Like, he wanted to try and find another way to deal with the monster. And you know, it's so heartwarming because that's the type of Superman that I remember from the cartoons and the comic books and stuff like that. Like, it was like Zack Snyder wanted to create a grittier Superman, and it just doesn't work. Like, Superman is the ultimate Boy Scout, right? It's just always been. And yes, you can give Superman more realistic problems in a modern world, but still have him be that joyful, true believer of just the goodness in people, right? And he was just so good that way. And just, you know, he could crack little jokes and you'd giggle and you could, while still dealing with super serious scenes, you know, there's still, you see just the goodness in him, and I loved it. And Rachel Brosnahan as, well, I know her as the marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She is a fabulous Lois. I mean, Lois Lane has always been, yes, she's the one that gets saved by Superman, but she's still very independent. She's still very much that hard-hitting reporter. The first scene in the movie with her and Clark, what they have the little back and forth, and then it was so perfect. Like, you didn't realize that they're actually together until you get to the next scene and find that they're a couple, and that's how far they progressed. Oh yeah, warning. I'm gonna give spoilers in this review, so be prepared if you haven't seen it. Don't watch this review. So when she sits down and has this, at one point she decides to have an interview with him as if he were just another subject, and she's brutal. I mean, she just comes question after question after question, upsetting him to the point where he's like, oh, he not yells at her, but gets frustrated and gets, passioned, yelling at her, people were gonna die, and that's the way that Superman looks at everything. To him, it's black and white. Like, I did the right thing because I had to save those people. While she's looking at it from a bureaucratic point of view. Well, there's international laws, and you've upset the government, and you've broken this law and that law. And so it's a great mashup of characters. Her being this more intelligent, looking at how there are the lines, these are the laws, that sort of thing. She looks at more of like the justice way of looking at things, while Superman is this more like, these are my morals. People were going to die. I don't care about government rules. And I love that she was not somebody that he needed to save in this movie. Like, they did not make her the victim at any point. She was Lois Lane, hard-hitting reporter, independent woman, which is exactly what Lois has always been. Even if you go back, yes, he saved her at times, but she was always out there, putting herself in danger, and they do a great job with that character in this movie. And then, of course, you've got a great friggin' Lex Luthor with Nicholas Hoult. One of the things that bothered me so much about the Zack Snyder films is they gave us the worst Lex Luthor. Like, I will take Gene Hackman any day over Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Like, just, that was like a weird mashup of like, there's like they had Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and the fucking Joker, like, all mixed in together. Like, it was terrible. But with Nicholas Hoult, you have those brains. Here's a man that has created all of this technology. He spent hours studying Superman to know his every move, how to figure out how to defeat him. Like, he's got everything down to a science with Superman, but he's so consumed by his jealousy and rage and his envy towards Superman, because here's a man that just showed up on Earth one day and everybody loves him. He didn't put the time and the effort, and that Lex feels that he's done all the work in order to, why aren't people obsessed with him? Why don't people love Lex like they do Superman? And I loved that, just giving us back that intelligence, as well as still like just an evil billionaire, an absolute evil billionaire. You didn't have to give him any psychosis or anything like that. It's basically down to the fact that he is just jealous of Superman and the love and affection that he gets from people. While he just thinks that, well, this is just something. He refers to Superman as an it at one point. This is just something, and why do people love him? And he just plays him so confidently and evil, and I love it. It's not over the top evil. It was just the right amount of evil. I did find there's a whole scene where he's walking through the, what does Superman call it? This is something of solitude. Not temple, not, God, it's horrible. Anyways, Superman's lair there, his headquarters. I know everyone's going to tell me in the comments, it's something of solitude. So when he's walking through there and they're attacking all his minions, the Engineer and Ultraman are attacking all the robots and stuff, Lex is like walking through, and it's like perfectly timed. And I know he's supposed to be a super genius and stuff, but you cannot tell me that he would know exactly when things were going to fly past his head so he didn't get hit. That was a little over the top. Great action scene. I mean, fabulous to watch, but just a little too much for me to believe it, So, so great character, great in combination. I love the fact that they brought in a bunch of sort of more obscure, like they didn't make it about Wonder Woman. You didn't obviously have to have the Justice League in there with Wonder Woman and the Hal Jordan Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter and Aquaman and all that stuff. No, they brought in a little bit more obscure characters. We've got Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. We've got Mr. Terrific. We've got Hawkgirl. And even though they're the Justice League, technically, they go by the Justice Gang, so they don't have like a complete idea yet of what they are and where they're going. And each character was really good. Like Nathan Fillion is Guy Gardner. He was that right a bit of a, but at the same time, like, still the hero, still wanting to do the right thing, So, yeah. And then with Hawkgirl, you know, she is more of your impetuous, you know, younger-minded hero, that sort of thing. There's a point in a movie where she deals with a bad guy, and she's not like Superman. She doesn't care about doing, you know, she's just like, nope, drops him, and he's gone. And I loved that. I loved that you didn't have to have all these morally perfect characters. You could have characters, superheroes that are flawed, that are willing to take somebody out, take the villain out. Mr. Terrific, great, loved him. You know, extremely intelligent, still quippy, still funny, still, you know, like that about him. Great actor, can't think of his name right now, but just, again, like all of these side characters that they were just able to turn into really good, interesting characters. Same with on Lex's side, you had, you know, the engineer and Ultraman, you know, that made you afraid of these people, like her with her, I guess it was like a nanotechnology. You know, really scary at one point where she's fighting Superman and she's like consuming him with all of her nanotech and everything, and you kind of was like, how is he going to get out of this? Like, you know he's going to get out of it, but how is he going to get out of it? So, you know, they were formidable. They gave them formidable, good villains. The only thing that bothered me is that it was a little, okay, like, if you didn't know the comic books, I felt it was a little on the nose, the big reveal about Ultraman, because they literally walk into Fortress of Solitude. They literally walk into the Fortress of Solitude and it just opens up. And it's like, you know that there's a reason for that. You know that it's coded to Superman's DNA. So, like, in that moment, I was like, I've seen no spoilers, but I was like, oh, I already know who Ultraman is. That was a little obvious. I mean, James Gunn could have been a little bit more less obvious with it or whatever, but still, it was really good. But, you know, you could see that Ultraman has the powers and everything else, right? Like, it's, you know, big spoiler, but he's a clone of Superman. He's a clone of Superman. Like, come on, we knew, you know, that's kind of an obvious thing. But still really good at the end, even though there wasn't like a big, oh my god, reveal. It was like they still reveal, have a battle between the two, which was good. James Gunn, I love the fact that right now, like, he hasn't got an obvious, like, he has a plan for the DC universe, but I like that he's not making it like Marvel, where it's like, okay, well, this movie has to come out in this movie, and this movie, and this movie. No, he, like, integrated different characters into the universe, but he didn't end the movie on a way where it's like, okay, well, we know the next movie has to be. Like, he introduces us to some characters that hopefully will appear in some of the other movies whenever they decide to appear. You know, you get a cameo, spoilers, of Peacemaker at one point. He does like he's on the TV doing a little interview, which connects the universe, because you also see Maxwell... the guy that basically is running the Justice Gang or whatever. He's the billionaire behind the Justice Gang, Maxwell something or other. Like, which is played by James Gunn's brother. So you see that character. So they set up a little bit for Peacemaker season 2 with that. But, like, it wasn't like anything that was seen is going to have to play out in Peacemaker 2. Like, they were just, those characters were there. And I like that. I like that he is not making it so that these things have to be set up, and if they're not set off or they don't pay off later on, there's going to be no disappointment. So, my one concern going into this movie was going to be about Krypto. I was concerned that the dog was going to be used for laughs. It would be too goofy, like a Jar Jar Binks type character. And I actually found that they utilized the dog perfectly. Yes, Krypto is a bouncy little dog all over the place. I actually do like the fact that he wasn't a perfect dog that would follow Superman's every little command. I like that he was sort of untrained, and it took a while sometimes for Superman to get him to do what he wanted. But in every scene that he was in, it played well. There's a point where he gets kidnapped by Lex and Superman is enraged. And as a dog owner, I felt that scene, and I know other dog owners would feel that scene. So Superman's constant motivation at that point to find the dog, really, yes, I got that. I got that he literally at one point doesn't care that there's a giant battle going outside that the other Justice Gang people are dealing with. Like, he just wanted to find his dog. That's all he cared about. He's having a whole conversation with Lois, upset about the dog and upset about the fight they had. And you can see the battle going on in the background, which just makes it even funnier. Because he's like, oh yeah, that's just some interdimensional being. It's fine. They've got a hold on it, you know. And it's funny because Superman is just worried about his dog. And I like that. I like that a lot. And so yeah, the dog, and there's a whole thing that eventually pays off with the dog being alongside him, as because, you know, like, it's like, how do you incorporate the dog into the fight scenes and stuff? So it worked out really well. So I was glad that that was not going to be goofy like I thought it would be. Overall, I liked that the movie was modern. Like, you still had the Daily Planet, of course, but they're, you know, they're an online magazine as well as a newspaper. Sorry, an online newspaper as well as a regular newspaper. I like that they still do hard-hitting journalism. I like that, you know, you've still got your main characters of Jimmy and Perry White, and they had each of them having a role in what they were supposed to do. Some of them were just a little bit of comic relief, but, you know, like, Jimmy had a role, the chief had a role. Like, they all had pieces to the puzzle. They all, you know, like, Jimmy is an old ex-boyfriend of the girl that's dating Lex Luthor, and you keep seeing her being this vapid character that keeps taking selfies all the time. But what's great is that it pays off later on, realizing that every single selfie she was taking had hidden information in the background that she ends up sending to Jimmy eventually. While she's just playing this vapid character for the sake, well, she technically was, but while she's playing the bimbo, she's smart enough to know to get all this information to bring down Lex and expose him for having these relationship with this one warring country, right? And that was great. I liked how they didn't make it just a thing, like she's just vapid. No, they actually made it pay off in the end. I love the obvious, like, the two warring countries that are part of the plot. You have this country that, while, you know, has definitely notes of the whole Israel and Palestine conflict, they also made sure that they sounded Russian. So again, you get like a little bit of the Russian Ukraine, so more of a real life kind of villain of what's going on. And I love that, you know, Superman comes to the aid of the defenseless country, even though, like, oh, well, this country's claiming that they're being held captive by terrorists, and it sounds like real something we know. He still says, like, I don't care. I don't know if I believe them. All I knew was people were going to die. And so I really liked that about, you know, that conflict bit of it too. Overall, I loved just the action scenes were good. It was funny. The jokes paid off. The characters were good. I love that Lois comes to save Clark at one point, Superman, with the help of Mr. Terrific, but she still goes to them and says, like, hey, we have to save him. He's being held hostage. I love that Jiminy, you know, helps play and, you know, helps save Superman too with his, you know, connections. Overall, just a really, really good movie. Just showing us, like, hey, like, the evil billionaires of this world, capitalism, you know, versus just moral good, like the farm boy, like the stuff that Superman always has been, you know? And, you know, they do touch on the fact that he is an alien from another planet. He doesn't hide that fact. And at one point they try to bring him down by showing this video from his parents that he only got the first half of, which told him that they had sent him to Earth to ensure that he served humanity. And he just always felt in his heart that he was there to protect humanity and be a good person. And then he finds out really and truly that he was sent to Earth to lord over them, and because humans were simple and stuff, and they try to use this to bring him down. But Superman still remains true to himself and to the goodness that his Kansas adoptive parents taught him. Oh, and I love how they decided to go with the Kansas parents too, like just a good, you know, country folk. Just basic elderly people, which is what happened in the comics. They were a much older couple when they found Clark. So I like that they're still older. They're simple. They're not, you know, they're living on a big fancy farm or anything like that. It's just pretty, I like that. I like just, you know, the basic Kents, the simple Kents. I love that about them. So overall, this was a good movie. This is the kind of movie that we need right now, that we can just go to the movies and escape to and watch good triumph over evil and believe that there are good people in this world that still have power. So definitely go see it. I give it 5 star.